Welcome to LegacyCast, your source for hearing from top influencers and industry experts and successful business owners who are telling their unique story about life, values, goals, business strategies, and the various causes they are so passionate about. Future generations will come to be impacted by what is happening today, whether positive or negative, and our mission is to focus on what is going to affect change for the better. Hosted each weekday by James Snow, a former U.S. Army combat medic, now founder and principal advisor of James Advisors Group, a full-service financial planning firm in North Texas. This is LegacyCast. Welcome, LegacyCast listeners. This is your host, James Snow, and welcome you to the program today. I have a very exciting guest with me today, Jessica Tabbert, and she's the CEO of Gisele, and it's an awards or an event, an entertainment business. And so, I'm very excited to hear about the different things that's going on in her world, because here at LegacyCast, we like to hear what people are doing, to be able to spend their time, creating that story about their life, and creating that story the way that they want it to be, so that many generations from now get to hear, the things that they care about and what they're involved in. And so it sort of gives us that little, snippet of immortality, if you will. And so, without any further delay, I'd like to welcome Jessica to the program. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, thanks for having me, James.
And so Jessica was telling me just before we came on the program, she also is a veteran, which I certainly thank you for your service, and she's a milspouse, which is kind of interesting because her husband's still serving our country, so that's an outstanding thing. And she served in two different branches, which is a little bit interesting because most of us are sort of one-minded, but she's an overachiever, so she decided to jump branches there and go Army and Air Force. So that's just absolutely awesome.
Thank you.
And done a bit of hopping around, and as it is with serving our great country. So Jessica, when we're talking about legacy, just kind of on the surface level here. Legacy means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And, for me, obviously, with me being a financial planner, it's kind of takes on a flavor of, the financial legacy. But for other people, for example, school teachers, they think about an educational legacy, passing on, knowledge to the next generation. What does it mean for you personally?
The very first thing that comes to my mind with the word legacy is family. I am extremely blessed to be part of a large family. My family is massive. I myself have 4 children, and they are part of my why, like why I do everything I do. I want to leave them in a better financial standing. Talking about your financial planning background, I want to leave them in a better financial standing than I came up with, and I also want them to have access to things that I didn't have access to. But I also want, on the other end of that, the legacy isn't just about money. Legacy is also about enrichment and fulfillment and life enjoyment. And I want them to have the freedom to enjoy their lives, which, excuse me, some of us don't realize that until we're old, until we're
Right.
way up in years, that life is more than just go to work, get a paycheck, grinding, and you don't really take the time to enjoy your life. So the legacy I want to leave for my kids is that they can accomplish anything they want, and I want them to do that and have joy while doing it.
Sure, that's great. And I like that you mentioned that for some people, they just go to work and they grind and so forth. It's part of what I call the big lie, that you don't have to have it that way. You don't have to just do the 9 to 5 and spend your life just grinding for someone else's dreams, but
Right.
instead, to spend that energy, working on your own. And so, I love that you had that as part of your perspective. And in fact, you were telling me that part of what your legacy involves, with the events and entertainment that you do with your business, because you both do the entertainment side and the culinary side of the two sides of the coin, which is pretty cool because I love food. So, but you have an awards program that you're going to be doing at the Hard Rock Stadium there. So that's pretty huge that you're doing something, again, giving back to the veterans, that you're passing that, and you're able to sort of pay it forward to our service members, and that's a great thing.
Thank you. The awards is excuse me, is an opportunity for, it's not really just about giving back to the veteran community. It's more than that. South Florida is an incredible place to live if you are a veteran. It's very unique in that we don't have what one would consider a traditional military base here. We don't have, the Fort Braggs or the Fort Meads or the Air Force bases of the world here in this area. We have Southcom, we have Sock South, we have Homestead, and there's not really the same type of presence here that you would experience in some of the other larger bases that I mentioned. Yet, despite that, there's a massive military community here and a massive presence of veterans and military spouses and veteran service organizations. And this awards is an opportunity to tell those people, regardless of if they've served themselves in the military capacity, to tell them thank you for the service that they give to this massive military community down here. The partnership with the Hard Rock Stadium is a blessing. It is an amazing thing that they're willing to come in and allow me to use this gorgeous space to host this event. But it's also an opportunity to create community around a beloved sports team. The Dolphins have a legacy of contributing to the military community for the last 60 years or so. And so this is just me trying to, neatly package all of that up in an event that happens over Veterans Day weekend, where everybody can say, thank you to each other. Thank you to South Florida. Thank you to the Dolphins. Thank you, everybody. It's a big thank you fest, which is what Veterans Day is supposed to be about, in my humble opinion.
Sure. That's awesome. And it's a great event there. We here in North Texas, we have a very large veteran community too. So, I can see how, something like this would just be, an outstanding opportunity, all the way around. So, kudos for that one, because that's a really, really good thing that you have going. And, I certainly wish you all the best with that particular venue. So when you're thinking about legacy, and you've kind of reached in and out of the conversation there a little bit with it, do you feel like it's an important thing that everyone consider what they're doing that's going to impact their legacy?
Yes. I'm sure you've heard the saying, youth is wasted on the young, right? Mm-hmm. So when I was younger, I didn't really think about my legacy at all, like not even a little bit. There were things that I wanted to do, go to college. I joined the military when I was, I think I actually enlisted around 17 and did the delayed entry thing. But, there were just little things, but I didn't think about it in terms of legacy. I thought of everything in terms of right then and there. One thing I'm trying to pass on to my children, who were instrumental in helping me see that legacy was important, is that, yes, there is now, and you should definitely appreciate the now. I'm a proponent for mindfulness, but you should also take into consideration your future and what you're leaving behind. So I think it's very important to impart that wisdom to people in general, leaving a legacy. And I think nowadays, you're onto something here, James, with this focus on legacy, because it seems to be pervasive, at least in the people that I know, where people are really looking at what they leave behind in terms of more than just wealth. They're looking at what education they leave behind and what experiences they leave behind. And that's why I think it's such an important thing that you're drawing attention to that. Like, hey, what is your legacy? What are you leaving behind? And legacy isn't even necessarily something that is there after you're gone. You can have a legacy while you're still on this earth. And that's something Absolutely. That's a new concept to me. So yes, it's extremely important to me that I consider legacy, and I try to encourage people around me to do the same.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I like that you're mentioning, that you can do it, while you're still alive, because that's such a key component to it, because it's not just about what you're leaving behind. There's still a lot of life left, and
Yeah.
and the being part of what you're building is such a huge component that I'm very very passionate about the living benefit side of it, as opposed to just just the other side of it, because it's really nice to leave something, but it's even better to be part of it, and be able to take
Yeah.
part of that, and share it, share it with your family, share it with your children, share it with the close friends and family that you have around you, the community that you have around you, to be part of that, because that's going to be part of the story that's passed on as well. Is
Exactly.
how you're incorporated in it.
Exactly.
So how do your views on legacy and your own plans for a legacy affect what you do in your business?
Well, I'm a dream big kind of person. So the events the ones that I create, the ones I come up with on my own, tend to be a little bit larger than life in my head, and I aspire to do large, big, creative, fun events. While at the same time also paying attention when I have a client and they bring me an event concept that they want to execute, I also try to look at what are they trying to create in their event. So I want my legacy with my business to be that I pay attention to my clients and what they need, and more than what I need, and that I also am able to execute a vision beyond the initial what you see. I love going into a space that is empty, or a space, into a venue that has not been moved around for my purposes, and I try to envision what the event will look like. And I love doing that because to me it's just possibilities. It's just, until we actually execute the event, it's just possibilities. And when you take something that's just a concept and you make it a real thing, there's legacy in that too. Honestly, there's like, how do you take
Sure.
an idea on paper and turn it into a thing people go to and actually have a good time, and actually, enjoy themselves? Because I'm so sure that there have been people who plan events and, either nobody shows up or nobody has fun, and it's just that sucks your soul. So I want part of my legacy to be that I'm able to create things that are fun and exciting and beautiful, and that my clients feel heard, and that their guests feel
Right.
heard. That's I think that's a huge part of the legacy piece of my business.
And in a way, you yourself are helping people to create their legacy, through your events, because their story is being heard with the event that you're creating. So you're
Yeah.
you're helping to craft legacies in your own right.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. Thanks for that. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. You're in the same business I am. So from the CEO standpoint, we all have those few things that sort of keep us up at night. What are a couple things that still haunt you, in the wee hours, about your business?
Oh man. So there's a few things, obviously. Like you said, we all have them. So I just started an MBA at Babson College, and the workload is it's not hard by any stretch of the imagination. It's challenging in that it requires me to not multitask. So I have to set time aside to actually spend focused energy on my studies. And I just finished undergrad. I graduated from Johnson & Wales University just this past May 2018. And I immediately, I took the summer, I guess I took the summer off, as they would say, but that's not a real thing because I have kids. So I started school straight away a week ago. And it's such a different world than undergrad was. And so if I were to answer your question directly and say, what keeps me up at night, it's just making sure that I give this degree the time and the energy that it deserves. I'm very, very fortunate in that I got a full scholarship to Babson for this degree. And that is on me. I know people are watching. I know that they're paying attention. You know, I'm a veteran, I'm a minority, I'm a woman, and I know that that's being looked at. So I want to do that justice. So I'm pouring myself hardcore into this education. So if I were to say anything, that's definitely one that keeps me up at night. Just making sure that I'm honoring the gift of the scholarship, you know. The other thing, of course, is mom stuff. Like my son just started college. He graduated high school when I graduated college, and now he's starting college while I start my MBA. So we're kind of running this parallel, you know, this journey together. And it's not necessarily a keep me up at night thing. It's more like I just want to do right by him in his college journey. You know, I want to make sure that whatever he needs, he gets it. You know, and he thinks I know everything about school because I just finished school. So I'm like, no, son, it's different. So that's something I'm dealing with. And then my 3 daughters, they all are now starting very different phases in their lives. I have one in elementary school, one in middle school, and one in high school. So, you know, that's challenging to have all 3 girls in different places, and then my son's in college. And as you mentioned before, I still have, you know, the responsibility of being a military spouse. And my husband is stationed at Southcom, and, you know, I'm very, very fortunate. We're not in a situation where he's gone all the time. He's home. He works and comes home every day. So that's great. That's amazing. But it's temporary because, you know, the military machine, it's always a looming thing. You know, when are the next set of orders coming? When's the next conflict going to hit? So I pay very close attention to what's going on in the world so that I'm not blindsided by anything ever with regard to that. Those are my big ones right now. With my company, it's an interesting thing being a CEO. You know, I am simultaneously the thing on which all success rests and the thing on which all failure rests. And there's a lot of freedom in that, believe it or not. There's a lot of, you know, it's stretchy. It changes form. It changes shape. It's very fluid in that way. So my business keeps me up at night in spats. It's, you know, I need to make sure that I get this thing done, or I need to make sure that this particular thing is taken care of, that I reach out to this person or whatever. But that's not as pervasive as my concerns for my family and my education, which is interesting now that you've forced me to think about it. So yeah, I don't often have a whole lot of I'm staying up all night with my business. Honestly, with the business, you know, if you ask me what I want to be doing with my time, it's that. Like I want to work. I love it. I love what I do. I'm obsessed with it. My friends have called me a workaholic, and they're not wrong, you know. So I force myself to spend time doing other things, you know, traveling, and I don't force myself to spend time with family. I just do that. But I travel and I take care of myself, and I do things for myself because my activity lately is working in my business. So yeah, so it's a few things, but mostly it's school for me, and then my kids and my husband is what keeps me up at night.
Yeah, and you mentioned as far as being a mill spouse, you know, and the things that are involved with that. Are there particular mill spouse resources that you've taken advantage of personally that you might, you know, for other people that are listening that maybe they are mill spouses as well, that might kind of help them?
I'm going to tell you the strongest military spouse resource in the entire world is other military spouses. I am so fortunate to know some of the most incredible military spouses, and I get to be part of different organizations. There's Mil Spouse Creative, there's the military influencers, there's you know, there's just all these different groups that I get to call family in whatever way that they are family. If I have a problem as a military spouse, it doesn't matter if it has anything to do with the military. I have this network of people that I can reach out to pretty much anytime and say, hey, this is my issue. Can you help me? And everyone that I've ever reached out to who understands this life has been incredibly helpful and loving and giving. And so my thing with that is I try to do the same. I try to, any military spouse that needs assistance, anybody who's looking for work or needs help figuring out childcare, like, you put it to me. If I don't know, I will do what I can to find out, or I'll put you to the person who will. And it's just like that in the community now. Folks will have you believe, people who don't know us, who don't know this world, will have you believe that it's catty. And it can be. I mean, the military community is simply a microcosm of the world at large. You know, we're a small community within a community. But I haven't experienced lately any of the cattiness. You know, I'm very careful to select who I hang around and who I call friend. And the people that are in my circle are amazing people, and I rely on them for their wisdom and their experiences. So that's how I make it through as a military spouse. And I look for opportunities to, if you're a military spouse and you're listening to this, hang out with other military spouses. Like, find people that are your tribe and get around them and spend time with them. You'll be shocked and amazed at how therapeutic that can be if you're kind of living in your island and you're running your household and taking care of your family or doing what you're doing, going to work, running your business, whatever you're doing. It just is, it's such a refreshing thing to be around people who just get it, who just understand. So that's my strongest point.
Yeah, psychologically, if you feel alone, then I can't think of anything worse than feeling like you're the only person going through something. And so being able to surround yourself with other people that are going through the same thing, it is it's very liberating and very enlightening, and very it takes a lot of that burden off of you when you realize I'm not the only one going through this.
Right.
There's nothing new that I'm going through that somebody else is not going through or has gone through before, and it makes it a lot easier to deal with those obstacles.
It really does. It really does. And I love too when the military community is forced to come together for anything. Like, when I say forced, I don't mean like mandatory fun. I mean like whenever we're all in the same place, or when you're traveling and you share with someone that you're part of the military community in whatever way you are, if you're a spouse, if you're a veteran yourself, or whatever. It tends to be pretty welcoming, all things considered. There's issues, of course, but the biggest resource I would say is other people who are going through what you go through. And if you can't find them, I'm just going to say, look, go on Facebook and type in the search bar, military spouse group, veteran group, what are you into? Because there's probably a group in the military community that focuses on that thing. There's groups for people who are in entrepreneurship. There's groups for people who are into mindfulness, meditation, rebuilding motorcycle, like anything you could think of in the military community, there's a group for that. And it doesn't matter if you're a military spouse or a veteran, those things exist and you just got to find it. I'm also an advocate for, battle buddy checks, making sure that people are doing well and that they're okay, and checking in. Because as we both know, the suicide rate is far too high amongst military members. And, so I would say another resource is just, yes, take your own needs into consideration, but also reach out and see how your friends and family are doing from the military community as well.
Yeah, good point. Thanks for bringing that up, because that is an epidemic that hopefully we can get rid of. And each one is one too many, and so we have to take it upon ourselves to check on our buddies and make sure that they're all right. Yeah. So as far as planning and strategies, do you believe that that's something that's important that people do? Obviously on a business level, but also even on a personal level, to create personal strategies for themselves.
Yeah, I think strategy is good in a general sense. What I have advised friends, family, clients, anyone who will listen to my limited wisdom on the subject is I'm a big fan of setting a goal, a specific thing that I want to accomplish, and then figuring out how to get to that goal, but understanding that the plan that I come up with may not be how I get there. The goal itself, if it's a true goal, like for example, a goal of mine was finishing undergrad, and it took me 10 years to finish my degree. I started it when I was still active duty. I think I started classes maybe 2008. I don't know. It's been a long time. But started classes, was going to school, doing my thing. And then I ended up needing to leave school because of my husband's deployment. And then I was on shift work and we had kids and, you know, it was very challenging. So then I picked it up again, you know, when we moved to Maryland. And I was stationed, well, he was stationed at Fort Meade. I was stationed at Andrews Air Force Base when I was in the Air Force. And, you know, I started going back to school. And, you know, it's just like, if you had asked me when I first signed up for school in 2008 or whatever, if it would have taken me 10 years and 3 states to finish a bachelor's degree, I would have been like, no, I'll be done in a year or 2 or whatever, you know. And it super wasn't like that at all. So the goal was the same, finish undergrad. Mm-hmm. How I got there changed significantly over the course of a decade. But I'm grateful for the goal because the path was what the path needed to be. So I'd say definitely plan, you know, be strategic in how you live your life. Just know that even the best laid plans, you know, there's all these famous sayings. I think it was John Lennon who said, life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. So I kind of live by that, you know, and yeah, that's my strategy, if you will.
Yeah. And you pointed out a very, very important aspect of that is, you know, when you put the plans together, you know, it is very important to have that. And it's also going to be flexible. You know, it has to be flexible. You can't set up some sort of planning and have that be very rigid, because, you know, it's just like, you know, there's I believe that there's a Chinese proverb or something that mentions about the strongest trees and the weakest trees.
I'm sorry, I'm getting a call. I'm trying to end it.
That's fine.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Easy edit.
Okay. Please continue. I apologize.
That's fine. But I like that you were mentioning as far as, you know, the planning and, you know, to have it be flexible, because there's a saying in the Chinese proverb, I believe it is, that, you know, there was comparing the oak to the willow and which one is the stronger of the two, because, you know, the oak tree is very rigid and it's very strong, but when hard winds blow, it tends to break. But the willow tree is actually the stronger of the two, because it's able to bend when the storms come, and it's able to avoid, you know, that tragic outbreak. And so, you know, that's how good plans should be, is, you know, to be flexible. And, you know, there's going to be bumps in the road. There's going to be, you know, potholes, and sometimes, you know, there's going to be cliffs that we come up against, and we have to be able to, you know, avoid those things. And, you know, just because you have that plan doesn't mean that you have to, you know, not you know, avoid detours, because sometimes, you know, those detours happen, and it's all part of the plan. So you have to allow for that.
Yeah, 100%.
So just from your experience, you know, having your business and then seeing other businesses around you, what do you think are maybe some of the reasons that entrepreneurs are failing or giving up?
It's hard. I mean, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart. It looks pretty, it's shiny and glossy in some ways, but it is hard work, and people tend to quit when things are hard. I just had a conversation this weekend with a gentleman, and we were discussing how, you know, specifically in the military community, quitting isn't really an option for us. I mean, the professions that we choose in the military, no matter where you fall on the spectrum, whether you were special operations or you were a pilot or you were, you know, administrative or whatever, there is a thing that's drilled into all of us in basic training, and that is never quit, right? Mm-hmm. And while life tends to talking about flexibility, life throws things at you, the veteran community specifically, that is always in the back of our minds. It's something that's ingrained in us, never quit. And sometimes I run across entrepreneurs who quit first, and I always find myself questioning, like, man, if I was in their situation, what would I do? So it's not from a judgment place of like, don't ever quit because you're not a veteran and you don't have this level of expertise. It's just something that I've noticed in the veteran community that we all have. We have this don't quit attitude. To your point about people stopping their entrepreneurial journeys soon, I guess you could say, I think a lot of the reason why some people quit is just because they don't understand what they're getting themselves into. I'm one of them. I started my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't know anything. I thought I did. That's the other thing, is that you think you know, and then you get into it and you're like, holy crap, this is not at all what I thought it was going to be. But I think the learning process is extremely important. If you open your mind, you let go of some of that rigidity, like the oak tree, and you become the willow. Entrepreneurship then flows through you, with you, around you. It's not something that you can quit because it becomes almost second nature, but you have to get to that. I don't think there's a single entrepreneur on this planet who got there, was like born with it, didn't struggle. The ones who stand out, the ones who make something happen, whether on a national visible scale or on a very small local scale, those people are fighters, and they fight through adversity, they fight through challenges, and they just make stuff happen. If you're listening to this and you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling, my advice to you firstly is don't quit. If your dream is big enough and it's strong enough and you believe in it enough, you'll figure out a way. But that is not to say that you shouldn't also take a step back from things if you need a moment, or take care of yourself if you're dealing with financial problems, or if you're dealing with family issues. Handle that. Handle it however you need to handle it. If that means you got to put your business on the back burner and take a job for a while, there's no shame in that. Most of us have side hustles. I have side hustles. I try to bring in money where I can bring it in, because my business is heavily reliant on people wanting my services if I'm selling services, So I think at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is hard. That's why people quit it. If you're an entrepreneur now and you want to stay that, don't quit. Figure it out. Figure out a way to make it happen. And eventually, if you power through, you push through, I think you'll be successful. And if you choose to step away from entrepreneurship, know that there is no shame in that. There is no shame in having tried something and not succeeded at it. You could be an entrepreneur within somebody else's organization. I think the word is intrapreneurship, where you still get all the feelings of creating and building, but you're building within an organization that supports you and allows you to do that. So there's no shame in that. It's not the same journey for everybody. I hope those aren't conflicting messages, but it's like, if you're going to stick with this thing, stick with it, power through. And if you're not, that's cool. Just be badass at whatever you choose to do if you're not going to stick with entrepreneurship.
Sure. Yeah. Good points there. Good little nuggets that you're throwing out. So what are some of the roadblocks and resources that you advise a new business owner to be mindful of? Roadblocks to watch out for, and then resources to keep their eyes out for that's going to help them.
The first roadblock is financial planning. And I didn't just say that because I'm talking to you, because it's real. Financial planning is huge in your entrepreneurial journey. If your money's not right, your business won't be right. You need to learn how to effectively manage your personal finances and your business finances so that you can have a successful business. Business is not great ideas. It is the purchasing and selling of products and services, and that is measured by your money. So it doesn't matter if you are, whatever you think you're doing. If your money's not right, you're not a successful business owner. You're not a successful entrepreneur. Don't let anybody try to, that's a lie. It's a lie from the devil. It's a lie from the pits of hell. If you are not running your money right, you are not in business. You have to get that right first. And it's the journey. It is a process. It's a learning thing. Some of us are born into situations, families where our financials are better, and we may have access to that knowledge and education sooner than others, but it's out there for everybody. And a lot of the resources are free. So take advantage, go on. Yes, Google is our friend, sign up for those webinars that are free, go to courses, go to college, like wherever you decide to go, get that education about money, because at the end of the day, that's how your business is measured. Doesn't matter who you are or how much you make. It's that. The second roadblock, I think, is yourself. So if you have stuff you need to deal with your stuff. Some of us like to use our businesses as masks to our personal issues. You're shining in your business life, and your personal life is a shambles. Take care of your children, take care of your marriage, take care of your friendships. And if that means you got to tell your friends, hey, I love you, I want to spend time with you, but I got stuff going on, please be patient with me. Your real friends will respect your hustle and be there for you when you have the time to step back to them. Kids are not so understanding. So just take care of your kids. Like they don't care about your deadlines. They get sick when they get sick, and they need things when they need things. So take care of your kids. And then if you're in a relationship, whether you're married or not, take care of your relationship. If it's important to you, you will make the time to nourish that and nurture that. And don't let your business be an excuse to make your significant other feel like less. And that's any profession. That's whether you work for someone or you own a business or what. Don't let that be an excuse to make your significant other feel like less. I use those two examples, finances and relationships, because those are the two things that are the biggest killers that I've seen in my network that have destroyed people's relationships and their lives and their businesses is not taking care of their money and not taking care of their significant other. Whenever you see somebody going through a messy divorce and that person is like the successful guy or woman, that's what's happening, is that somebody wasn't taking care. So just, have those conversations with your financial planner and your significant other. And I feel like that's a good step towards success.
Yeah, super points there. Yeah, and I appreciate you pointing out the financial side of it, because it does have so many different levels and so many facets that are involved in it. It's the number one cause of divorce is having bad finance, and so take that off the table. Get it fixed, and take it off the table. And it's more than just the cash flow that you want to talk as far as financial planning. It's also having that mitigation strategy, quote unquote, that the covering the what ifs, making sure that the what ifs are addressed so that your business isn't going to suffer if something happens, fill in the blank, and also your family's not going to suffer if something happens. So it's making sure you cover all those bases.
Yep, 100%.
So how do your personal values and beliefs play a role in your business? And how would you advise other people to incorporate their own into their business?
I am a champion of love and gratitude, and I infuse that into everything I do in my company.
Cool.
Your business is you to a point, depending on what you do. There are some exceptions to that, but as an event planners are a lot of things. Sometimes we have to be relationship counselors and therapists to people, because a lot of stuff comes out in the event planning process, and you start to see people's neuroses and their hang-ups about stuff, and it's just such an interesting, weird community to be part of. So I put love and gratitude first. I am a believer in that which is greater than us, and I refer to my faith as something that is an intrinsic part of who I am. I was raised a certain way, and I strayed from that a little bit, but at the end of the day, I definitely believe in a higher power. And I really try to infuse those beliefs into the way I treat people. and how I treat people is such a big part of my business that they all flow together. So I treat people very well. I really try to be respectful. I try to do right by people in everything I do. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't steal. And it's those principles that I carry with me in my business that allow me the opportunities that have been afforded to me, I should say. And I think as a business owner, you just got to find your groove. It took me some time to get to this place. At first, when I first started my business, there were people saying, oh, you need to look like this and act like this. And you don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics in your business. And at first I subscribed to all of that. I was like, okay, well, I guess I can't really be who I am. Now I'm like, all right, I'm just me. I love the creator. I love my life. I love my family. I'll have a conversation about politics. I won't talk about politics on social media, but I'll talk to you in your face about politics. And yeah, I just say, just be true to who you are. Be authentic. Whatever you believe, however you feel, be that for real. And it'll show up in your business, and it'll show up in your life and your clients and the people who want to work with you. And through that reality, through that authenticity, will be discernment. You'll know who to work with. You'll know who not to work with.
Sure.
You'll know where you should take your business. You'll be able to identify those paths that are presented in front of you, which ones work best for you. And if you choose the wrong path, you'll be able to look back on that. This is experience talking. You'll be able to look back on that and say, I didn't listen to my gut. I didn't listen to my spirit in that moment. And you'll learn from it, and you'll just keep on trucking. So be authentic is my advice.
Yeah, very outstanding words there. And I totally agree with you that it's not something that you have to take away from your business. It should be fully integrated in it. The person that you are should be the same in and out of business. You shouldn't wear one mask when you're working and then another mask at home. It's the same person in or out, and what you see is what you get. And the people that you need to be involved with, those are going to be the people that you attract, and you're going to attract people that are good fits for you. And if you hide that, from others, then you're going to attract people that you may not want to do business with, or may not need to be, that next client. And I've learned that, through hard experience as well, that you have to be very transparent in that, and you don't beat around the bush, you don't sugarcoat it. This is what you get. If you're okay with this, then let's do business. And if you're not okay with it, that's fine. We'll shake hands, part as friends. I can refer you to somebody. It's just kind of that direct conversation. And it all becomes reciprocal too. When you put that out there, it's all going to come right back.
And people know, people are not stupid. They know when you're keeping it real and you're being authentically you. And most people that I've run across in my life respect that. The fact that I am so direct, hey, I don't think I'm the right planner for this for you. I'm going to go ahead and cut ties. But here's what I will do. Here's how I will parlay this to help your business, because I don't wish you ill will. Maybe we can't work together. Our beliefs are different, or our work ethic is different. And that's fine. That has to be okay, because it can't be any other way. You don't put yourself in situations where you're working with people that violate your belief system. Then people talk about sellouts or selling your soul. That is what it is. It's not some grandiose thing where the devil shows up with a contract and it's like, here, sign your life away. No, it's those moments when you compromise your authenticity and you say, I am going to change who I am and what I believe in this moment for you because of $1, And I'm saying this to you knowing that it's hard. Some people will dangle some really very beautiful, tempting carrots in front of us. And you just man, I just want to nibble. I just want a little bit of that, but I have to sacrifice. And it's you really have to figure out where your line is. And that's where beliefs come into play. That's where your morals and your ethics come into play, is that you can see that line. And sometimes if the line is hard to see, then you just got to check yourself. You got to do the work and say, okay, I'm going to take a step back from this and really assess. And if that opportunity is not for you, and you turn it down, something better will come up. It inevitably does. At least in my life, it does. I'll turn something down, and it won't be, I'll feel some type of way like, oh man, did I mess up? Was that right? And then inevitably something much better, much more beautiful, much more for me will appear. And I just have to honor that process. But it comes from being authentic. It comes from being who I am, believing what I believe, and living that every single day.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you. So, kind of sort of to winding down our conversation, what is something that you wish you had done earlier in life, maybe that you would have done differently, now that, you have the years of wisdom, to look back at it? Is there anything like that? Not necessarily regrets, but, just something, that you would have done a little different?
I think the biggest thing would be for me to value time more at a younger age, to not look at life like I have an unlimited supply of time. Time is our greatest commodity. It is the thing, it is more precious than money. And I would have valued my time more as a younger person. Other than that, not really, because everything I've been through in my journey has helped me be who I am, and I really like myself. So I wouldn't necessarily change any of that, because I'm grateful for where I am now, and where I'm going. It's all very positive stuff. So I think, honestly, honoring time more at a younger age would be something I'd go back and do.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. It's when I was younger, I was a little bit more reckless, and reckless with time, and wasted time when I could have spent it doing something a little bit better. So
and I mean, it's relative, because like I was reckless too. I did some stupid stuff. I'll tell you what, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. I'm so grateful that there was no social media when I was in my stupidest phase, because there's some stuff. But it's all relative, and talking about honoring time more, I guess I should just be grateful that I honor time more now,
Sure.
And in the past, that recklessness helped me learn the value of prudence, being prudent, and all the different lessons that I've learned in my life. So I'm grateful for that part of it. But you're so spot on talking about reckless. That is the word of the day, is I was very reckless. But no, I'm grateful now. I'm really grateful to be where I am and to know what I know. And hopefully, I shared recently with some friends that the more I learn, the more I realize how little I actually know. And that's humbling. It's like, all right, let me continue this pursuit of knowledge and wisdom in my life for as long as I can, because I'm grateful to know that now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good lesson.
Yeah.
Very good lesson.
Thanks.
So Jessica, for people to be able to get a hold of you, they obviously need to have some contact methods. So what's the best way for them to reach out and, learn about you, learn about your business, and, take you on?
So I have all of the social medias. I have a Facebook page for the business. The company is J Gisele. That's J period Gisele. And we are located in Miami, Florida. If you are in the Miami area, I would love to meet up with you. I like food. I don't do meetings without food. So if you want to hang out, there has to be food there. That would be my favorite thing. And then also you can reach me, send us an email. The email address is info@jgisele.com. That's info@jgisele.com. And the website and everything is on the Facebook page. We're also on Instagram. Our handle is @jgiseleco, CO at the end.
Okay. So that's some good contact methods and ways to get a hold of you. So people that are listening, be sure to reach out to Jessica, because she has something to offer, and certainly be able to take care of your event, your entertainment needs, and also just a all around good person to know and be connected with. So be sure to do that. And Jessica, I appreciate your time today, and be able to carve out a little bit from your busy schedule, running your business, and be able to put in a little value nuggets here for our listeners. So I appreciate that.
Thanks so much for having me, James. This was really, really fun. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And like I enjoy telling all of my guests, I will see you around the bend, my friend.
See you around.
You've been listening to Legacy Cast. Thank you for joining us today, and be sure to come back next time as we speak with more top influencers, industry experts, and business owners from around the world.